You think about some of the really great movies, the opening scene often feels like, well, less like just starting and more like a big, bold statement.
Oh, absolutely. Like, think about Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
That tension, instant.
Exactly. Or the opening of La La Land, that huge freeway dance number, just pure energy.
Yeah, there's a real, like, elegance to those. They feel inevitable somehow. Like, they couldn't have started any other way. And they don't just set the mood, they grab you. They tell you exactly what kind of ride you're in for.
It's such a high bar for writers, though. I mean, a great opening really rallies the audience, gets us hooked. And if you're reading a script, that first scene is your one shot to yell, hey, pay attention, this story matters.
But it's funny, isn't it? When you look at, like, common script problems, weak openings are always right up there. Always.
Why is that, do you think? Is it just nerves?
Could be nerves, yeah. Or maybe just feeling swamped by all the options. Like, where do I even begin? So a writer just throws in something simple, like a placeholder.
Oh, the placeholder opening.
Right. And then that kind of weak placeholder just sticks. It becomes the actual opening scene.
And that leads to that thing you always hear about, the ramping up scene.
Oh, exactly. The scene that just feels like background noise.
Yeah.
You know the advice, get in late, get out early.
Sure, for every scene.
Well, the whole script kind of suffers if that very first moment is just set up, just groundwork. It feels like you just chop it off and start later, near the actual drama.
Yeah, totally redundant sometimes.
And that's really our mission today. No scene should be wasted space, right? Especially not the first one. It has to pull us in, entertain us right from the get-go. So we're going to dive into 3 common, really effective types of opening scenes. These aren't just random ideas, they're strategic starting points. Ways to make sure that first scene really counts.
Okay, so 3 strategic types. If we're making that first choice, that intentional entry point, where do people usually start to do type 1? Focusing right on the main character, starting with the protagonist.
Yeah, this is probably the most common one. And it makes sense, right? Those first 10 pages, they absolutely have to tell the audience who we're following. When you open a script or, sit down in the cinema, you need orienting. Whose story is this? Why should I care about them?
Right. And putting the spotlight on your main character straight away is like the fastest way to answer that. Get the audience invested so they don't mentally, flip the channel.
We need those hooks in the character fast.
But that brings us right back to the cliched problem, doesn't it? How many scripts start with the protagonist waking up, brushing their teeth, making coffee?
Oh, the mundane morning routine.
Yes. The alarm clock shot, maybe talking to their cat. It's like the writer just clearing their throat visually. Mm-hmm. It tells us they exist, maybe, but nothing really important.
Exactly. It tells us nothing of consequence. So the solution, the real key, is that the introduction has to define something. If you start with your protagonist, that scene has to show us their defining characteristic, or maybe their biggest flaw, or what makes them compelling,
Or why they need this story specifically right now.
Yes, absolutely. What's the core struggle in their life at this moment? That needs to come across.
Looking at the examples helps here. Like Amy Adams in Arrival. That opening is quiet, almost sad, right? Mm-hmm. But it defines her through loss. And it shows her unique relationship with language. It sets up everything.
Mm-hmm. And it immediately gives you stakes, even in its quietness. Or think about Promising Young Woman.
Oh, yeah.
That opening scene, it sets up this calculated intensity, this ambiguity. You immediately see Cassie is operating differently. She's using performance as a weapon. You're hooked because she's not having a normal day. She's doing something specific and compelling that drives the whole plot.
Or you can go big. Like Daniel Plainview in There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Just him, alone, digging in the dirt.
Right. Defined instantly by sheer ruthless ambition, physical struggle, just wrestling wealth out of the ground. These scenes aren't just showing the character existing. They're showing them acting, struggling, defining themselves against their world.
That's a really powerful difference. It's active.
And it sets the baseline, the before picture for their transformation, which we should definitely talk more about later.
Okay. So if we don't start with the protagonist, what's the next option? Let's look at type 2, starting with the main conflict.
Right. This is like the high efficiency approach. If you don't anchor the audience with the hero first, you anchor them with the opposition, the thing they'll be fighting against.
So this often means introducing the villain.
Often, yeah, the antagonist. But it could also be broader, like just showing us what the forces of opposition are up to at that moment, giving us a sense of the threat landscape.
I know that feeling sometimes when watching a movie, that sort of lag.
Yeah.
You're waiting for the setup to be over, waiting for the hero to finally get the call or whatever it is that kicks things off.
This type completely avoids that lag. It
Yeah.
makes the audience feel like the action is starting right away. Boom. Even if the hero's actual inciting incident, the thing that pulls them in, happens a bit later. We feel the conflict is already in motion. Stakes are instantly raised.
This sounds like the classic teaser sequence, like in horror movies or action films.
Exactly. Think of the opening of The Ring.
Hmm.
That curse is demonstrated immediately, terrifyingly.
Or Jaws, that
Yeah.
swimmer, gone,
Mm-hmm.
defines the shark's threat before we even meet Sheriff Brody.
Mm-hmm. And maybe the ultimate example of defining the conflict first is the bank heist in The Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, masterclass.
We meet the Joker through his methods, right? Chaos, theatrics, being smarter than everyone else. You instantly understand the kind of threat Batman's facing, the scale of it.
Okay, but wait, if you start with just pure conflict, pure chaos, isn't there a risk you just confuse people? Don't we need that character anchor first? Or does starting with conflict need something else?
That's a really good point. If you lead with conflict, that scene needs to be inherently gripping on its own terms, usually through spectacle or just sheer emotional intensity, something that explains itself through action or feeling.
Okay.
And don't think this is just for big action or horror. Think about Sound of Metal.
Good one.
That opening plunges you right into Rubens' drumming. It's loud, intense, all-consuming. It establishes the sound itself and the vulnerability connected to it, which becomes the main antagonist later, the hearing loss. The conflict isn't a person, it's his body breaking down, his relationship to sound.
That's a great point. The opposition doesn't have to be a bad guy with a plan.
Not at all. And, we mentioned Inglourious Bastards earlier. That opening scene is all about emotional intensity, isn't it? It drops you right into the core conflict, the hunter and the hunted. Horrifying.
Yeah, it's agonizing to watch.
And it works so powerfully because it establishes the world's extreme stakes before we even meet the heroes who might try to fix things. It sets the whole context.
Sets the political and emotional reality of that world in one scene. Wow.
Exactly. Stakes established, no hero required yet.
Okay, so let's look at the third type, which honestly sounds like the most fun. Starting with an entertainment hook.
Right. This is where you kick things off with spectacle. Pure action, maybe.
Hmm.
Or just an immediate, immersive experience that really underlines what the movie is selling, its main entertainment value.
So it's like a genre set piece right at the start.
Pretty much. Or a scene that's directly tied to the core concept. It basically says to the audience, this is the kind of fun you're in for. Establishes the world, the rules, maybe the tone, by giving them a taste, like a high-energy trailer right at the beginning.
So if I bought a ticket for a musical, you give me that La La Land freeway dance.
Mm-hmm.
If I came for spies and action, I get the Bond pre-title sequence.
Exactly. Bond is the classic example.
It creates that rallying effect, right? Like confirming for the audience, yep, you came to the right place. This movie is going to deliver what you wanted.
Totally. It's about managing and meeting expectations right away. Think Charlie's Angels, any of them really. Mm-hmm. Or the way Blade Runner immediately throws you into that distinct futuristic world. You're confirming the style, the genre promise in those first few minutes.
I noticed looking through the examples, the really strong entertainment hook openings often seem to overlap with the other types we talked about,
mm-hmm.
like Baby Driver or Drive.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely deliver amazing car chase spectacle right up front. That's the hook. But those scenes also tell you a ton about the protagonist,
mm-hmm.
right? Their skill, their isolation, how they see the world.
That's what we call double duty. And yeah, the truly great opening scenes often manage that. They deliver the fun stuff, the spectacle, but they also establish the character or define the conflict at the same time.
Okay, but there's a danger here too, isn't there? That it just becomes noise.
There is. And that's the crucial thing that stops this from just being another ramp-up scene.
Yeah.
The action can't just be for show. It can't be gratuitous.
But the cool car chase has to actually tell us something specific about Baby's rhythm or skill. Otherwise, it's just a cool car chase that doesn't really move the story forward.
That is the absolute key difference. It still has to connect to the main story or reveal something vital about a character. If you could just lift that opening scene out and the rest of the movie still works fine, well, then it wasn't a very effective opening, was it?
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got these three powerful tools. Focus on character, focus on conflict, or focus on the entertainment hook.
Yeah.
But knowing the tools isn't enough, right? The strategy is picking the right tool for your story.
Exactly. We need to zoom out a bit. Stop thinking about the opening scene in a vacuum and think about the whole story's shape. Its geometry, if you like. John August and Craig Mazin on script notes, they had some great advice on this.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Basically, that you can get trapped by an opening scene you fall in love with if it doesn't actually serve the bigger story you end up wanting to tell.
Oh, that's interesting. So you write this amazing, quiet, moody character intro.
Right, but then you realize the story you really want to write is this huge, splashy, sci-fi epic.
And suddenly that quiet opening feels wrong.
Yeah.
Like it gives the reader whiplash or just misleads them about what's coming.
Precisely. So the wisdom is figure out the overall destination of your story first before you lock down that opening scene. And the key strategic idea here is really about transformation. It's the idea that the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning.
Ah, the bookends principle.
That's it. You should think of your opening scene as one half of a pair of bookends for the whole story. And since most great stories are about change, about transformation, that opening scene needs to set up a contrast that shows what the movie is really about.
Okay, so give me an example. If your character starts out, I don't know, super passive and afraid, but they end the movie finding their voice and standing up for themselves.
Then that opening scene must show them at their most passive, their most afraid. Strategically, you need to establish that starting point clearly. That extreme contrast is what makes their final transformation feel earned and meaningful.
Right. It's not just defining the arc. It gives the ending its power. So the opening isn't just a random starting point. It's like a crucial piece of the story's structure, setting up the whole theme.
Exactly, setting up the entire thematic structure of change.
Wow. Okay, this has been a really compelling look at making sure that first impression really lands. So we've got the three main strategies. Starting with the protagonist for that immediate connection and definition.
Starting with the conflict to build those stakes right away, make it feel urgent.
And starting with the entertainment hook to deliver on the genre promise.
Yeah.
Give the audience what they came for.
Yep. And the ultimate key really is making a strategic choice. Don't just settle for a placeholder that feels okay. Make sure the opening serves the bigger picture, serves the transformation you want to show by the end.
So for you listening, the real challenge, the takeaway here, is to use these three types not just to analyze movies, but as brainstorming tools for your own work. Try forcing yourself. Come up with three totally different opening ideas for your next script. One laser-focused on character, one purely on conflict, and one just going for that big entertainment hook.
That's a great exercise.
But here's the extra strategic step. Don't just generate the ideas. Ask yourself, for this specific story, which of those three starting points creates the sharpest, clearest contrast with how your character or the world ends up? Use that bookends principle to guide your final choice. Do that, and you're way more likely to craft an opening that's not just effective, but truly vital and memorable.